Welcome everyone to Cal Poly's Pomona 17th Annual Cybersecurity and Awareness Fair. We would like to thank our sponsors for supporting this event. And now I would like to give a warm welcome and introduce our guest speaker for today, Jeff Pacola, who will be presenting the topic, Securing Your Online Identity. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the chat section. All questions will be answered during the Q&A section. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed your time thus far, so far.
Great, thanks, Shimi. I appreciate it. So so my name is Jeff Bucola. I'm a senior manager with Deloitte. If you haven't heard of Deloitte, we're I believe we're the largest professional services firm. I think for all professional services, but particularly for cybersecurity. We help companies, large and small and in between, mostly large companies, protect what they have to lose, which is their data. And I'm also a Cal Poly alum, a proud Cal Poly alum. I graduated in 2008, my wife and I, and I was really excited. I jumped at the chance to come and speak here today. And obviously, this is all virtual, and I wish we could be in person together, but circumstances are what they are. So I'm gonna spend some time today talking about some practical advice for you, and for anybody that you know, for that matter, in applying some of the practices that we apply in a corporate setting for our clients, but also that in situations that we all face every day. So I'm just going to talk about protecting your online identity, and I'm sure you've probably seen quite a few of these presentations, and my hope is to make this a little bit more relevant and more productive for you than maybe what you've seen in the past. So I think I just mentioned I graduated from Cal Poly in 2008, senior manager with Deloitte, and I help clients protect their systems and data. I'm based out of our Orange County office, but I live here in Chino, so I'm actually not that far away from campus. And I'm just there the other day for the pumpkin patch, as I was just sharing with Shamir. So it's 2021, right? And everything is digital and connected, obviously, duh. But if you think about what used to be a very what used to be all on paper is now obviously on a computer somewhere. It's sitting on a server. It's sitting on your computers. It's sitting on your phones. And let's be honest, you don't know where your data is, but your data is everywhere. And I think a lot of students, particularly, would say, "I'm just a student. Yeah, so what? I don't have much to lose. I'm just a student." Well, you do have something to lose, and that is plenty. But let's talk about finance, just financially, the ability to get financing, money being stolen out of your bank account. There's a lot to lose, and I just want to emphasize that up front. But obviously today everything is connected, everything is digital. So of course it's great. Yes, isn't it great? Everything is connected, right? It's convenient, it's fast, things are on demand. I'm connected with family and friends. I can press a button and stuff shows up I can order groceries and in an hour groceries show up at my door. It's great. But those benefits come with risks. That's theft of data, theft of money, tampering, things that matter to you get tampered with or destroyed, espionage, right? So whether it's just you spying on your life, maybe you have a former love relationship, someone spying on that information and spying on what you're doing, or other kinds of plenty of other situations as well, particularly in other circumstances, thinking about government espionage, and data mining and targeting. This is a big one too, right? Any human being alive today, I can promise you, is getting targeted for ads, and it's showing up in all kinds of places. Even children, if you think about Facebook and Instagram, if you've seen a lot of the recent headlines about what Instagram and Facebook are doing, it's not a surprise, but it's basically out in the open there. What the type of data that they are starting to collect and trying to collect, and because why would they want to do that? Well, the short answer is they can monetize it because data is money. I'm sorry, I'm just putting on a do not disturb on my phone. So the reality is everybody is vulnerable, even students. Okay. So who's after my data? Yeah, but okay, but who really wants it? Well, now organized crime and street games. It's easier, it's cheaper, it's more lucrative, and hey, no weapons required. I don't have to mug somebody in the street. I don't have to pull a gun out. I don't have to pull a knife out. No weapons required. And I can hit a lot of people that I wouldn't otherwise be able to hit. Even though I'm in LA, I can go hit somebody in Texas. Okay. And by the way, let me just add, there is now available on the open market. You can buy hacking tools and data stealing, data theft tools on the market. So street gangs and organized and even broader organized crime have access to the stuff all day long, and they don't care. They got money and resources, and it's cheap and easy. Companies, your data is helps their bottom line. And governments, both good and bad, right? So maybe obviously legitimate purposes looking for citizen data, and you have also nefarious governments looking to spy on Americans. So where is my data? The data is everywhere. It's in corporate databases, it's in government databases, it's in cloud providers from Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. So even though you might be signing up for a service, let's say with Instacart or Target, or you're uploading your data into, let's say you're using TurboTax for your tax returns. I use TurboTax. That data ultimately isn't just sitting on a TurboTax server. The servers are really going to be ultimately sitting on an Amazon, Microsoft, or Google at the end of the day. So you're in fact inherently, when you hand over that data, you're inherently trusting TurboTax to protect my data, and TurboTax's suppliers to protect your data. It's obviously on your computer and your mobile devices. That goes without saying. It's on your phone. All right, so how should I protect my data and my privacy? We know that it's a problem. Everybody's talking about it. The short answer is that it just becomes a series of mitigations that don't necessarily prevent theft, but that help mitigate it. Okay. The reality is today, for all companies and government agencies, this isn't just a private corporate America thing. That's just governments and anybody who's got a computer. The technology systems that run society are deep, broad, and complex, way more than they've ever been. Think about the level of complexity in any kind of organization. Now pair that with understaffed resources who don't necessarily understand the technology, staff turnover, people leaving, coming and going. Oh yeah, Frank built this 3 years ago and he's gone now. Okay, well now there went all the knowledge that Frank had about the system that he built. Poor technology decisions that are made because of the wrong reasons, and budget constraints. That's always an issue too. I don't have the money. Everything's fine. I don't need to invest in cybersecurity. So you think about that problem statement will never go away. And it doesn't matter what kind of organization we're talking about, nonprofit, charities, governments, and companies. It's just the state of affairs. So it just becomes a matter of time before it's always a matter of when, not if, something gets popped, gets breached. So you have to assume that any data you have is vulnerable to compromise, number one, and two, could be sold. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about this on the next slide. You walk into Target. Hey, Target's got free Wi-Fi. Cool. Starbucks, free Wi-Fi at Starbucks. Great. Well, the reason it's free, it's because you have something that they want to sell. And there are companies called data aggregators. And wouldn't you be surprised to know that one of the most popular data aggregators on the market are also the credit bureaus that run your credit score? Someone spends a lot of time at Starbucks. I wonder how much money they're spending at Starbucks, because Starbucks actually correlates they can correlate your spending profile on Starbucks rewards with your Wi-Fi, and see, gosh, this guy's spending a lot of money. And I wonder, I can pair that with other data about this person's financial situation. They might not be making the best financial choices about what they're buying. Maybe they're spending too much money on coffee and they don't earn enough money to support that. That can influence, for example, credit decisions. It can influence any number of factors. I'm just kind of painting one example there, right? So what does this all mean? So think twice. At the end of the day, this is the number one thing to take away from this. Think twice before you click on anything, provide data, or connect your smart thing in your house. And I haven't even really spoken about. I haven't really even spoken much about that. But think about your refrigerator and your washing machine and your dryer. Hey, it's smart. It connects to the internet. Well, great. Well, what are they doing? Well, they're aggregating my data about what kind of wash cycles I use and dry cycles I use. And they sell that data. Right. So that's a little bit more of a monetization thing. And then that gets aggregated and paired with other data used by these data aggregators to make other decisions about you. So the reality is think twice before you click or provide any data. What you have to do is assess whether the data you're providing is worth the risk. And think about who you're giving it to also. In fact, this just happened to me the other day. I was in a situation at a health office, and I needed to fill out a survey. Filling out data as an online survey about all my health history. I had to do it. I'm like, what are they really doing with this data? Are they really protecting this data? Are their providers protecting this data? Where is it going? I had to do it, but you need to stop and think before you do this stuff. This is the short answer, because you can no longer assume that your data is private. Okay. When you say yes, do the following. So here are some of this is really kind of the meat of the meat of this. There's a few things here. Number one, passwords will be breached. So first thing you can do, use a password generator like LastPass or 1Password. Every website gets its own password. It is worthwhile, I promise you, as someone who's been hacked myself personally through TurboTax of all places, where I had other controls in place. I got hacked. And you have to assume that the passwords are going to get breached by some website, at whatever company. Use multi-factor authentication. So any of you had those text message codes or pins sent to your phone? That's an example of multi-factor authentication. So they don't just rely upon a password that can be guessed or hacked. You have to have something else to go with it. Public Wi-Fi exposes extra risks. That's snooping and marketing. Okay, so don't connect unless you must. Right. So most people today, if you've got an iPhone or an Android phone, it's got a hotspot on it. Use the hotspot unless the signal's weak where you are. Just don't connect to the public Wi-Fi. If you do need to connect to the public Wi-Fi, use a privacy VPN. And what that does is it routes all of your traffic through these servers, as opposed to just wide open inside a Starbucks Wi-Fi, and they can see where you're going, what your device is, pair that with the coffee habits that you have, etc. Target, they know which stores you're going into now. Like, oh, this phone showed up in here. Oh, they're frequenting between these different locations. I can aggregate that and build a profile about who this person is, where they like to go, and sell that and pair that with other data aggregated by the data aggregators, and pair that with what they're buying. So don't connect unless you must. Social media give hints to hackers. This is a big one, especially for those of you as you look at your career and you're looking ahead into work, and particularly for those of you who have technical degrees, you're going to work in technical positions at your respective companies. If you advertise on LinkedIn that, hey, I'm a network engineer for company X, that sounds like somebody I'd like to try and fish and try to send them a nefarious email that can get them to click on a link that gets me into their computer. I want to try to get into that network admin's credentials. So watch what you post. that data can then be used to fool you into clicking on a malicious link. Okay. Another one, fourth one. This is something that's become really personal for me as well, just in the last couple of years. Your home network is brimming with more vulnerable devices than ever, and connected devices. I mean, just on my own network, I got 4 kids here at home, and connected to everything, I've got probably 40, 50 devices connected to my network. And before this, right? Everyone just go to the store, go to Staples, go buy a Linksys router, plug it in, and go, and you're done. You don't really, think about anything. But do you really know what all those devices are really doing to what they're connecting? So you need to buy Better Wi-Fi. And I'm just making this really simple. Buy Better Wi-Fi. So, and what that means is not just for signal purposes, but it's products that offer threat protection. And I'm citing Eero here. I'm an Eero customer. There are other devices as well. There's one I'm going to add here to this. I can add it to here later. It's called Firewalla. It's a good one. It's a really nice unit. If you have a different wireless router, you can use that too, but then use Firewalla in addition. Firewalla's got great protection, has great protection options for your network. It inspects traffic coming in and out. You can do a lot of intelligent things about that direct traffic in certain ways, and it'll notify you when something looks nefarious. You can see that what your fridge is connecting to, what your TV is connecting to, what actual sites it's going to. You can actually also see who's trying to hit your home network from outside, and that's from all over the world. Your device can be stolen, so encrypt the data on your devices. I think the iPhones are automatically encrypted with a PIN on your PCs and Macs. Turn on the PCs, turn on BitLocker. On Macs, turn on File Vault. Just encrypt it. Okay. So I'm looking at the time. We've got 9 minutes, and I know, or 9 or 8. We've got 8 minutes here, and I wanted to allow some time for questions. And so, any questions that people have? I know I kind of went through a lot. So, anyone want to kick it off? Anyone want to be brave and kick it off?
I got a question for you, Mr. Bacola.
Yes.
So, when you use like for public free Wi-Fi, like what are the chances? How often is it? How easy would it be for hackers to like hack your device when connecting to free public Wi-Fi? Like, is it really that easy for them? Because I always use
It
public Wi-Fi.
it depends on a number of things. It depends on the type of the security configuration of the public Wi-Fi. Number one, I will say. So there are some mitigation measures you can implement as the host, as the storefront or the place offering that Wi-Fi that can mitigate for it. But there are also, and then so that's number one. It depends on the security of that network. So you're relying on, like, hey, I hope you got this place secured, right? And then
Yeah.
number two is depends on how persistent and how well equipped and smart the attacker or would-be attacker is. So there are some tools that can be leveraged that attackers can use to sniff out your Wi-Fi signals, even though it's encrypted. There are loopholes in some of that encryption, which is why there's been new encryption standards have been developed as of late when you connect to Wi-Fi. But it's on public Wi-Fi. Actually, let me just add this: on most public Wi-Fi is not encrypted. Right? You go to Starbucks, you go to Target, it's not encrypted. It's just on. So because it's just on, you can inherently then your data in transit back and forth to that access point to that Wi-Fi is in the open. Now, some things are encrypted, but a lot of things are still encrypted behind that. Like when you go to a bank website, etc. Most websites now do have some encryption. So in a sense, some of the data is encrypted, but it's not entirely encrypted. So it does leave an open vulnerability there that can be exposed. That's the short answer. So always use a VPN. That you got, if you're going to use public Wi-Fi, use VPN. And there's all kinds of them out there. ExpressVPN, Nord, there's hundreds of them out there that you can find. That will protect you. And by the way, Apple just released, they've got their iCloud private relay on their new iOS 15. If you turn that on your iPhones, that routes all of your traffic through Apple's servers, as opposed to going through that Wi-Fi, and then encrypts everything through Apple servers. So it's basically like a VPN, but built into iOS, which is a very smart move by Apple.
Thank you so much for your answer. Very helpful.
Anybody else with questions? Should I start calling on people?
I think you should.
No,
You still got 5 minutes to go.
it's okay. This is a fun awareness fair, so this isn't like we're in class. So.
That's right.
Everyone's good? Everyone's secure? No problems? Nothing to go by or fix or change? Anyone want to know, but curious about like the wireless or your home wireless, your home Wi-Fi?
I had a question. You're talking about data aggregators and what kind of data they collect with different smart devices. So I know Ring doorbells are pretty common and they're supposed to be a security device, but what kind of data would they sell? And is it worth the risk for home security?
Yeah, so good question. So I'm just going back to just putting here. I just updated some text in there. So that's a really good question. The data that they would sell, that Ring or Arlo, I have Arlo cameras. They would sell, for example, the kind of motion detection that's going through, right? So you have motion detection, how many cameras you have. They might sell what they're detecting on the videos. This person gets a lot of animals, so maybe they're out in the sticks. There might not be quite as much data to sell from, let's say, security cameras. But I will also say this, is that those videos are getting uploaded to an Amazon cloud, both Arlo and Ring, because Ring's obviously owned by Amazon now, right? So the data is getting analyzed up there. How are they analyzing it? What are they doing with it? What are they doing with that analysis? I don't know. So I think as far as cameras go, the monetization of camera data might be a little different. But I mean, just think about like all your home products. I've got an LG fridge, an LG washer and dryer, and an LG TV. And I'll tell you what, man, when you sign up on the LG app, they want to know the location. Where are you? What's your precise location? They don't want just a generic area. They want to know your precise location. They want to know, they're tying in to see how often does this person run the washer clean drums cycle. Back, I have on my Euros, I have a block on all social media sites for my IoT devices. And what's interesting is my LG TV is making calls to Facebook with it just being plugged in. Just because my LG TV is plugged in, they're calling Facebook and they're sending data out to Facebook. And it's blocking it, thankfully. But be surprised how valuable you are. All these services that we take for granted as free are being used in other ways and aggregated about you. And on the surface, it may not seem quite so harmless until you start to see like, hey, I didn't get approved for certain financing, or I'm being, it's not so much that you're being targeted per se, as to say, what could be done with that data? What could be used? What could be made of that data? What governments could compel these data aggregators to turn over lists of people that fit a certain profile? Think about that.
Thank you.
Right.
That was pretty insightful.
And on either side of the aisle, depending on who's in charge of the government at that time. It's an interesting kind of perspective there. Any questions? Anything else? All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I will be at the career fair, and I need to update my availability because I had a meeting come up. But I believe it starts at 2.
That's correct. It starts from 2, the cybersecurity job fair.
All right. So if anybody is interested in a career at Deloitte and in cybersecurity, I am going to be there, and I'm going to have a virtual booth. I'm probably going to update my timing for between 2 and 3ish, or maybe 2:15. Anyway, I will update my availability in there in the career fair, and be happy to talk to anybody. I just want to add that we've already closed the window for fall interviews, but we are taking resumes for backups for fall, as well as interviews that will take place in the spring. So that'll be around February or March. So it might be a while before you get officially heard back from if we wanted to proceed with an interview.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeffrey Picola,
Yeah.
for being our guest speaker today. Your presentation was very, very insightful and meaningful. We really appreciate it. And I also want to thank everyone for attending this session, Securing Your Online Identity today. We hope you learned a lot from this session, and we appreciate your engagement. If you guys have any other questions, please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to help you find your answer. And please do not forget to check out your water bottle and laptop sticker contest, as we are giving away No Stark Press $20 ebook vouchers. All right, everybody. Thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Be sure to check out the job fair later today.
Cool. Thanks, Shamir.